did you transition from chess to financial markets? I know in your early life then you spent a lot of time focusing on chess and not investments. Is there anything you learned playing chess or studying chess that led you to a career in financial markets?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Patrick. And well, the first thing to mention about chess is that it's a very good exercise for the intellect. And in terms of what eventually helped me to transition to the financial markets was that I was developing decision-making capabilities. Because in chess, you have to make a move. You want it to be the best move, and also you have a limited amount of time to make your decision. Okay? So you have to evaluate the situation, taking into account many factors, and then come up with a plan. Also, another aspect is that by playing competitions, I initially started at the local level, then moved up to the state level, then national level, and then international level. And that requires quite a lot of perseverance. It's also tied to long-term goals and commitment, and also requires discipline and resilience. And when you play in international competitions, you are trying to position yourself at very high standards. And I think those factors also apply to the financial markets. There are other factors like studying different aspects of the game, which is also similar to the investment world, which is so broad. There are many different aspects of the financial market. And when I transitioned to the financial markets, of course, I did have to study quite a few disciplines, and I did go to many schools, had a lot of teachers. Specifically, I went many times to the United States. I did invest a lot in those opportunities. I went to the Chicago Board of Options Exchange to learn option trading and volatility. I also did study yield curve analysis at the New York Institute of Finance, management at the New York University, among other things. So I was always looking and trying to learn new aspects and integrate them into my understanding of markets in order to develop capabilities that would allow me to make good investments.
So who were some of the other investors that you studied? I remember I saw in one of your interviews about chess that you mentioned one chess player you studied, and you said you took almost 2 years to really understand what he was saying in the book. So who were some of the investors that you studied in that depth? And then how would you ultimately define yourself as an investor today? Are you a volatility trader or a Benjamin Graham value investor? What would you say is your style if you have one?
Yeah, Patrick, I'd say it's a little bit to define because throughout my career, I've studied a lot of different aspects of the markets. So I had many influences. And I think the main thing when you do a study from successful investors, the first thing that I tried to do was to understand the concept. I think there is a second step, which is then try to figure out how to adapt the concepts into a different environment. Like Brazil, for most of the time, had a different environment than the one in the United States. Very different. Like we had hyperinflation, we had a very strong cyclicality. So in general, some of the concepts put out by well-known investors do not necessarily apply themselves equally here. So, of course, I did study Graham and Dodd. These concepts are valid, and I understand some other successful people have tried to emulate his style. There are many followers here in Brazil. And I'd say that I've learned a lot from different people. I mean, I could mention Ray Dalio, Druckenmiller, Senzel, Howard Marks.